Hello, Thomas. Thanks for joining me for our episode here, covering the first watch through of the Star Trek: The Next Generation. This is Mike Shaw and Thomas, the first, the last Nerdom, and this is Thomas's first walkthrough of The Next Generation.
Yep. Mike's my guide, and I'm giving my takes on the episodes as we go along. I haven't run Screaming yet, so I guess I'm enjoying it. And we've got our next batch of 3 that we're going to discuss here, and we're creeping towards mid-season.
Yeah, and to kind of set the stage, I think this is kind of where the strong power that Star Trek is known for, The Next Generation is known for. It's very weak because of season 1, but it starts to kind of come through, and these are some of the more iconic ones that I just putting out there. It could have been absolute crap more than what it was, and it wasn't, in my opinion. But these are the ones that kind of start to stick and are starting to become like the golden ones that I loved for one reason or another, for sure. What was your what was kind of jumping in here with John DeLance, who plays Q? What did you think?
This is our second appearance of Q in Hide and Q. It was
second, third,
seeing,
something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing. He's got a interesting hairdo on that thumbnail. Well, his hair's fascinating and all of it. But yeah, he has another challenge or game for the crew, and this time instead of Picard, he sets his sights on William Riker to mess with his head to see if he could get him to do what he thinks he'll do. And the whole game aspect, the first half more or less is just a preamble to the third act. I think the third act's where your meat and potatoes are as far as the story, so they take their time getting to it. And I kind of wonder, because spoiler alert, Riker gets Q's godlike powers, and he's tempted by those. I think that's the crux of it. So I almost wish that the whole second half of the episode was that, or at least we got to explore that more. The whole thing about putting a security officer in the penalty box that's a little silly, but I guess they wanted to make you aware that there was human stakes at play here, that if they messed up again she would die. But you do see the crew get killed later on, which Riker rectifies that. But I think that could have played with that idea a little bit better, because the whole penalty box thing was just kind of a throwaway thing that didn't really have any payoff, except for, I guess, a moment between Picard and the security officer.
Yeah. This one was like this is another one that is a rock in the stream, and the stream kind of goes around it, and you might have some storylines coming out from that, or it could have been anyway. Didn't really, but there's nothing like where this is revisited later on. But these are some really big rocks that are in the stream that I keep kind of leading back to, because I guess my theory would be to save Star Trek at large, canon Star Trek, that the season 1 was so defining and had so many different multiverse kind of or parallel things or results from it, that it could be argued that like we're just kind of more in a cul-de-sac of a multiverse for the current storyline, current Star Trek, and now modern day. But that's about as much as I'll say. But outside of that, Q, it was great to see this one. This is one that's near and dear to my heart, that I will always remember. Just very interesting. Like, what if? This is like a very good classic, because they do this a lot. They'll do the what if kind of thing. And Deep Space Nine did too. So did Voyager. Like they did like a lot of what if type,
Mhm.
and this is kind of like why I've always kind of come back to Star Trek, because they do these fun little thought experiments of like what would happen if this, if this kind of was the setup. But what was your overall opinion of the show? Or
Yeah,
this episode?
I
Anyway.
yeah, it was one of the more solid ones so far. And then at the at the end when Riker was fulfilling everybody's wish fulfillments, uh, I had a little chuckle over the Wesley Crusher, the age 10 years. And then they aged him back. Boy, I'm sure he was pissed 10 years later when he looked in the mirror and didn't look like what he what he looked like in
Maybe
this
that,
episode.
yeah, maybe that would be the sour grapes for modern day Wesley Crusher, and like, shut up, Wesley. Like that mentality that runs
Yeah,
through nerddom.
yeah,
Unfortunately or fortunately,
yeah.
depending upon your point of view.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Get a picture of that guy and say the lost Wesley, bring back 10 years older Wesley.
And this is just a shout out to like another YouTube recommendation that we've talked about over the weeks, and we'll revisit Red Letter Media. Like if they don't do the most perfect cuts of Wesley or Will Wheaton on that show that he does, that's like the only pathetic kind of like, my right arm and left arm are broken, but I can kind of hook onto the franchise and be pathetically part of it. But pathetic would be like one of the things that comes to mind. Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I didn't mean to go that far in the weeds, but Red Letter Media, that they put out some
Yeah,
really cool content.
and to be honest, there are the Will Wheaton fans. Last family gathering, I made a snide comment about with Will Wheaton, and I got informed by my older sister that all the virtues of of Saint Will, so to speak.
You know
So
what?
so I was like, I'm backing away. I don't really have a bone in this fight.
I don't either. I just, it is what it is. If you like Will Wheaton, good for you. More power
Yeah,
to you.
absolutely,
Like,
absolutely.
awesome. But yeah,
And
if you're not,
everybody has their great qualities, everybody has their bad qualities. So whichever one you focus on is your own personal bias. And
yeah,
it,
and for the record, I would not have changed a thing about Star Trek: The Next Generation. I would have always wanted a Will Wheaton character there. Like it would not be the same without him. Like I will go that far and say it and put that out. So it's not like
yeah.
like a irredeemable Jar Jar Binks
Yep.
character or whatever. Like they could have been
Uh-huh.
deleted, nothing would have changed.
Yeah.
But anyway,
And in my response, every time, and when I was a teenager, it's only natural for you to go, oh, I hate that character, I hate that actor, I hate this, I hate that, I hate that. And when I've gotten older, my response whenever I would hear someone say something like that is like, did he kill your dog? Like, no, he didn't kill your dog. And why do you, that's the reason to hate a person. But yeah,
sure.
you don't know this person personally, and okay, you dislike the character, you dislike the actor, and that's fine, as long as you're not stalking this person.
Right.
That's fine
Right.
to there. It's healthy to dislike something, but not to us over it. So
Oh no, absolutely not. No. Anything inappropriate is obviously, whatever. Like everybody can have an opinion, and at the end of the day, did Will Wheaton do something that I will never be able to do, and will never in this life or next or the next five be able to do? Absolutely. So glory to him, for hitting them heights. But regardless,
Yeah.
he has a part to play. But kind of pulling it back to center, Q's was always a treat. You'll kind of see like where it'll break up the monotony, or like a 10 in a row of Alien of the Week kind of
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
nice.
He hasn't had a wacky forehead yet, but he's had three snaked creature, I think, at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah, he did some crazy stuff, and I was marveling at the I was enchanted by the Q kind of fence that
Yeah,
is he's known for, but like will never
the
come
Q
again.
fence. Yeah.
Yeah. But with that being said, I think the next one we roll on to is Haven,
Yeah.
and to kind of set the pace here. This one is all very iconic because it sets the foundations for Counselor Troy, a little bit of Riker, but again, this would have made more sense, and nobody did this. But Peter David wrote a book about Troy and expounding more on their relationship with Riker and Troy, called Amazati. That'll kind of come a little bit here or there, but in any case, like this kind of sets the stage for laying that foundation a little bit more. What was your thought process on this one?
Overall, I found it annoying. Mostly for the parents. It's
Right.
it's very 80s episode, where you're introduced to characters' parents. There's lots of sitcoms, there's lots and lots of dramas. I'm sure there was an episode of Magnum PI where someone's parents show up, and they're either very very enjoyable, or they whine and complain, and this is that variation. and also very much an 80s show in that a love interest is introduced to a main character that hasn't been announced as being fired or leaving the show, so you know that the love interest is most likely going to die or go
Right.
away by the end of the episode.
Is one of the main characters Wyatt and his mom, or mom and dad. Actually, this is 2022, so never mind. I won't make that joke. Anyway, those are the main players here. But Wyatt is pledged to marry Counselor Troy, and it was set up a decade ahead of time. And there's all this kind of unraveling and the pressure.
Oh, and
Luxana Troy, her mom, Troy's mom.
And to look at Wyatt's parents, aren't they? I don't know. They seemed a bit old to be his parents. I thought they could almost be his grandparents. I don't know how old Wyatt is, but I don't know.
I think that's just something that they kind of, maybe they did casting of the week was whatever it was. But not kind of, all joking aside from that, it kind of, Star Trek is always kind of like where it's mismatched a little bit. It's not nobody bats an eye because it's just like, oh, it's just aliens, or oh, they just live longer than humans, or whatever, like whatever this the excuse of the week is, or plot. Maybe I don't know, but that'll happen a lot. But I don't know. Good call out though. Good call out. Yeah, this one you kind of saw like where Riker. There's something there with Riker and Troy. It tried to do a lot, but you kind of felt a little bit for cringe. I guess the kids would call it. You felt a lot of cringe in this one, for sure. Just for
the girl that's dying is this hot blonde, the woman of dreams, calling out to you.
Right.
Yeah. I guess it was a foregone conclusion that he would run off to her and die in the colony.
Right. What? Cool. I don't know that there's much more to say to kind of before we move on.
There's two other I guess bullet points. Is the giant from Twin Peaks is in a cameo in this episode. He rings the little gong.
Interesting. He makes many appearances then later on. As long as there's Luxana, there's him. What did I say?
Carl Stryken is his name. Stryken. Mr. Hom down there. But yeah, he's a very unique looking actor, so I could see why he would be in be an alien in Star Trek.
All right. Yeah. I wanted to call out was Armin Shimmerman, who passed away a while ago, but he was the the weirdo box, silver face
Mhm.
box. He also played in this, and this is like one of his first
Mhm.
appearances. I want to say, I want to,
Mhm.
but he's one that he is a name that will come back again and again and
Mhm.
again. Not in this role, obviously, but
Mhm. Mhm.
I think he did. Did he pass? No, maybe not. I don't know. Disregard if he did not.
Mhm.
So sorry. Anyway, my bad. Grief. Oh, I'm horrible about this. Right. So anyway, going back to this guy. Yeah. So that's cool. I did not know that about Mr. Home. Like,
Mhm.
was he? Did he play Lurch at all? While we're
Yeah.
kind of in
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
movies, like he also played
Yeah.
Lurch.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah. And
famous Adam's Family. Adam's Family.
yep. Mhm. Yeah. 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 In interviews with him, he seems like an extremely nice guy, very unique look. So obviously he's a character actor, and those are usually my favorite actors anyway. But yeah, the other thing I noticed this episode, I don't know, Riker came off as a little bitch to me in this episode. Excuse my French. Hey, he
Yeah,
starts the episode. He's watching his little hologram babes dance around and play music, and he's enjoying himself, and then
kind of doesn't make
not a kid,
sense.
not a care in the world, no thought towards Deanna Troy. And then as soon as he finds out she has a man, he's like, oh, I don't know about this.
Right. No, I agree with that.
He goes into super sulk mode and, and
Yeah,
doesn't get
yeah,
out of it till the end when the guy's gonna die with the with this
yeah,
colony
yeah, and
of doom people. He's all smiles and looking at Deanna Troy again. He doesn't come off very well in this episode.
no, no, his beard tempers that a little bit, but not by much, but a lot more than fresh face, baby face Riker for sure. What and with that being said, anything else to add or jump off from?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Uh,
So the big goodbye. This was
uh,
January 9th, 1988,
mhm,
change of the year. And this one had some good interesting things. Rough, clunky setup, but from like once you got in the world, it was a little bit more tolerable. What were your thoughts on this one?
the well, I'd one of the things over the years I'd heard about Star Trek is obviously the holodeck. That was a staple for the show, and I always thought the holodeck was a silly idea. And I thought, well, my preconceived ideas is that, episode happening a holodeck, what does that really matter? Nothing. It's all virtual. What could this add to the story? I did since we now have VR. I kind of thought back on my experiences in the VR world and how Picard's excitement about being in this it's a different world kind of made me think of my first experiences with VR and how amazing I felt when doing it.
Yeah, yeah. This isn't one near and dear. It's gauche, it's kitschy, but this is probably the most zany 60s kind of
Mhm,
bizarro out there. Like that the original series is known to have an episode or two here or there, like just
mhm,
like that. This is kind of like the next generation's version of it. And they'll
uh,
gleefully, playfully be in this sandbox again. And then it'll
mhm,
be some variation and it'll be a reoccurring theme. It'll become a hallmark, kind of going on
yeah,
because
yeah.
definitely,
Mhm,
that they, but I love this one just because I love it. I'm always a fan of Brent
mhm,
Spinner, and this kind of allows a little bit of that zaniness to kind of crack the door open a little bit and see how it feels
mhm.
in the holodeck.
Yeah.
You have Captain Picard, and then there's
Mhm,
always a love interest or some perceived
yeah,
love interest because
yeah.
you have to remember the holodecks. I'm not going to go into non-family territory here, but the holodeck is supposed to be set up to like where you can basically create whatever you want to happen, And in the vein of like a Barkley, you'll see that kind of become a lot more of a thing. Like, oh, people use these for their personal, you know, things,
Right.
that kind of thing, which is zany to me. It's interesting, but
Which is odd when Picard decided to make it a threesome and invite Beverly Crusher and a historian, and then Data got self-invited himself to the party as well. But yeah, it was my despite my preconceived ideas of an episode in the holodeck, this actually kind of played it out a little bit better than I thought they would. They did have the stakes were risen where one of the characters got shot, and he really did get shot, and there was the risk of that character dying. So he was, I guess, the red suit of this episode, the
red shirt.
historian. Yeah, the historian guy. Yep.
Like,
And
this guy's talking, but I don't think we're going to see him later on. And then it kind of tropes itself out.
And the whole idea of introducing these hologram characters to the fact, and this we did discuss Blade Runner in our and Blade Runner 2049 in our podcast week. Check that out if you haven't, if you're interested in Blade Runner. But this is in Blade Runner 2049. We had a hologram in that and questioning on how human they are, and then this one we get that same kind of echo with this episode with the gangsters in it finding out about the whole bigger world they're not familiar with, and the legendary actor Lawrence Tierney. He's a legendary tough guy. He's been in several different movies. Quentin Tarantino used him to great effect in Reservoir Dogs, and
Junior, very famous.
And he's famously Elaine's father in Seinfeld. He's in an episode. And a funny aside, I was watching interviews with the people from Seinfeld, and very said that Lawrence Tierney was a very scary man.
Really?
and very, very odd. He said that at one point in the filming, he I guess they were in Jerry's apartment. Lawrence took all the knives. They had like a thing, a little block that had a bunch of knives in it.
Yeah.
He took them all, and no one said a word.
That's funny. That is so funny.
So yeah, it sounds like he was very much an interesting character, and a really interesting character as well. So he really kind of lit up the end of it as well. But yeah, the whole ending kind of paid off the whole thing. However, my thought was the whole big thing was they had to get Picard out of there because he had to be able to speak a certain way to get out of to this alien race, insect race, so he got stuck in this holodeck, and they had to stall for time because they didn't want to piss off these aliens. But it seemed like there was a power surge from the insect ship to Enterprise. Is that how I understood it?
Yeah, and that's unfortunately the kind of the weaker elements of these things are like, how did that happen? And then it's just like it sets up a plot device to But
what would have been, I think, a missed opportunity would have been if that was the case. Maybe it would reset the language to the controls of the holodeck, and Picard would have had to have said a certain command to get it opened in that language. That would have been more interesting than Mary Sue Wesley Crusher jumping in and saving the day once again. Do they have any other crew members that could fix things on this? It seems like anything, he's always in the middle of it. If it's a transporter, if it's the
Well,
ship's
that
engine,
that
he's there.
that kind of, if anybody's introduced as Chief XYZ officer of this, then you kind of know that something's going to go wrong, and you realize like it's either like these are the worst made starships ever, or or like these things are tremendously great, but they don't, it's just kind of like, it's like, I don't know, a lot of safety malfunctions, like I don't know, 24th century, like, you know, anyway. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I enjoy this. These last three is more nostalgia than anything else. Like at least the first and the last one that we just talked about. But
And
um,
I knew that Data was like did do a few of these as a kind of dressed as a gangster and stuff, because there's an album that was promoted heavily in, I think, Starlog. That's a science fiction magazine from
okay.
back in the day. And it was for his album called Old Yellow Eyes. Are you familiar with this?
No, I'm not. No, that blows my mind.
We won't go look that up real quick. This is a little bonus part of this episode.
What is it now?
Um,
Sorry.
old Yellow Eyes, old spelled OL apostrophe. Yeah, I think that'll Old Yellow Eyes. Yep, there you go. And he's
Okay.
singing some old classic songs.
I did not
And
know.
now I haven't heard any of the tracks. I would always have a chuckle when I saw this ad. I thought it was the stupidest thing. Me being I was probably a teenager in my 20s.
Oh
Uh
my
so
God.
uh,
$92 for if I wanted to buy this. That's crazy.
yeah,
Wow.
all the tracks are on YouTube. I We don't want to get copyright struck, so we might you play it on your listeners. You can kind of check that out on your own time if you're interested, and we might play a few tracks after our podcast here. But but yeah, like I said, I had never heard heard it, and I know I was looking at the Wikipedia. It looks like Patrick Stewart and I think maybe Jonathan Frakes sing backup on it, and Burton. Yeah, on the Wikipedia, if you go down to past the track listings, if you look at the players,
Wow.
there, yeah, under the sunspots, the backup players, yeah, you got LeVar Burton, Jonathan Frakes,
Huh.
Michael
That's
Dorn, and Patrick Stewart.
crazy.
So
That's
if you're
awesome.
gonna have a backup vocal band, there's the team you want.
I might have some new background noise to listen to when I work.
Yeah, you may have some new jams. You don't know. Like I said, I made fun of
Good or
it
bad.
constantly, but it could be like that hidden gem. I may be totally missing out. But yeah, that's a
That is
little
awesome.
bonus I wanted to give all of you out there.
In all my days of I had no clue. That is freaking awesome. That is really cool. That is a golden nugget right there. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Good catch. Good
yeah.
find. Awesome. Well, with that being said, we come to this week's anything else to add, my friend?
Just this episode had some fun cameos, like Dick Miller as
It
the
did.
vendor guy was great. I believe he passed away, but yeah, there one of the things about shows in the 80s, there's a lot of spillover between um the actors that are passed around. So you'll see, like with Seinfeld, there was a lot of Star Twin Peaks actors that float over to cameos in that, and I'm sure I'll see some in Star Trek. But yeah, it's always fun to
No doubt.
see the actor that you remember in that show, kind
No
of
doubt.
thing.
No doubt, for sure, for sure. And again, we have several different shows that we do throughout the week. We'd love for you guys to comment, like, subscribe. We got to feed the
Yep.
algorithm gods, make them
Yeah.
happy, and
Yeah.
not follow fall afoul of the Giants copyright. But when
Mhm,
we're not doing that,
mhm,
we would love to hear back and
mhm.
hear more of what
Yeah,
you want us to
yeah,
cover.
and we're changing up our schedule. I know our podcast will still come out either Sunday or Mondays. We
Yep.
have a new recommendation show that we're going to try out that will take this spot's place on Wednesday, and we're going to bump this one to a Friday show, which I kind of think it more kind of fits for a Friday for some reason.
It sounds right to me. I'm down. And
Mhm.
with that, I've been Mike.
And I'm Thomas.
Uh, See you later.
Later.